You just entered the bear crawling nation on the No Agenda Street.
This is R. Mortimer, and welcome to the other side of live. Welcome everybody to the #1 late night Make Your Choice, Yo motivational show, otherwise known as the other side of live. Tonight's working title is Making Choice Choices, and tonight we are live from Roseville, Minnesota, and the Bear's Den in Monticello, Georgia. Sometimes he's the teddy bear, sometimes he's the grizzly bear, but always he's the rock god of podcasting. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, my close personal friend, the dark side of positive, Charles McFall.
This is my boomstick!
I just wanted to play that. I hadn't played it in a while.
Your intro gets longer and longer.
I've noticed.
So I have to, this time I was like, well, you wanted me to say rock god of podcasting. What else can I put in there?
I'm good with hello.
Hello. I just want to say hello to Charles McFall.
So how are you, sir? I've done some great things this week, but how are you?
You've done some great things, what?
Great things. Well, I don't know if I call them great. I've done some things that you will be happy with. Some I'm happy with, some I'm like, I just did it anyway. But I've done cool things.
Nice. I have, of course, been busy with Tortuga-ing this week and with Modern Worlding and Success Freaking and the other side of living and highs and lows and work and goof off and all that kind of jazz. I've been busy as well.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's nice. I've made some choices.
you know what I did last night? I was on the phone with you. Do you know what I did last night?
What did you do last night?
Well, a lot of people have a bucket list. I don't really have a bucket list. I don't understand the concept. I think it's, whatever. But I do have a list of things that'd be really cool to do. Bands that I would like to see in concert that I've never seen in concert. A couple of years ago, one of my things I'd love to have experienced was to be on the floor, to have the wristband, to be on the floor in a huge arena, a sold-out crowd, and be down front as the band's playing the music. And I got to go hear Kill Switch Engage, which is one of my favorite metal bands, and down on the floor with the wristband. It was an awesome time. My wife got that for me, and it was great. Last night was something I wanted to check off for a very long time. Today, for the Mordant and myself, today is a day that should be remembered for a very long time. I've remembered it for almost a year now. However, every time I mention the Mordant, you know what September 18th is? No. Today is the day that Borderlands 2 releases. Borderlands 2 is a huge game, not just for us, but for many, many, many other people. And so sure enough, I got a text and I checked on it and I got to check off a thing on my list to experience. I went to a midnight release party last night and got my copy of Borderlands 2 last night at midnight.
Did you?
Yes, sir. And I came home and played it to about 2:30 in the morning, so I had to go to bed because I had to work today.
So is it fantastic? Is it wonderful?
It is so wonderful. In fact, I did one other thing before I came home last night, is I made sure to go to the post office, which is 24 hours here. You can go in, and there's nobody there but the robots, whatever. And I overnighted your copy to you last night. It should be there tomorrow by 3 in the afternoon.
Wow, that's great because people all around me outside. Chad is playing Borderlands in North Carolina. EJ's playing Borderlands. What am I doing? Being jealous. That's what I'm doing.
My 8-year-old son is downstairs. 7-year-old son is downstairs playing Borderlands 2 right now.
I'm creating inspirational content for people. That's what I'm doing. Positive. That's us. Well, it's only right that you got to play Borderlands first because last week, Tosol episode 61, entitled Birthday Boy Blues, we talked about your birthday, which is actually still coming up. So happy birthday, Charles.
Thank you.
I thought it was a great show. A lot of people listening, we got the same response, and you were just kind of like, oh, I don't know. And it was all right because I don't think you like being in the hot seat.
I like being in the hot seat. It just was a topic that I didn't feel I made any headway on. I felt just kind of crappy, and I don't know. There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot more down to it, and I don't know. It was cool. It was cool. I want to go back to the midnight thing. See, here's where I know you haven't done anything social in a very long time, because I'm Instagramming like a fool. Last night, I'm taking pictures of the Borderland displays. I'm taking a picture of the crowd in the store. I'm taking a picture in the car with my deluxe edition Borderlands bobblehead. And not a word from Mr. Mon on Instagram or anywhere else. Like, you're not even watching your Instagram, much less find me at Mordant World. Why? It's 2 years old.
Here's what's sad is that I actually saw your bobblehead picture just a little while ago, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't even think about it. Now that as you say that, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's the Borderlands one. It's like, this is like a huge advertisement for this game. We should be moving on to, well, are those the choices we're going to make? Well, you know what, boys and girls? Sometimes it is. Sometimes Uncle Mordant and Auntie Charles get to play and cut loose a little bit. I tried to watch Glee. And my good friend, Leah Juster, actually Dropboxed me last week's episode of Glee, but for some reason I couldn't convert it from WMV to AIV, and I couldn't find anything that would watch it. And if it did, I don't know if the file's corrupted or what, so I still haven't seen it. I still haven't seen that opening episode of Glee.
Well, this does tie into choices, because I made the choice to go out. It was exciting. It was fun. I talked to a bunch of geeks and just had a good time. But tonight, after the show, I don't go to bed till 2 a.m. typically anyway, so I'd have a couple hours to play, right? But now I'm going to make the choice to be there for my wife and help her out with some house stuff and try to make her life a little bit happier for a few minutes.
Does that mean that you're going to be lifting up the couch so she can vacuum underneath it? Is that,
I could with one hand, much like Bam Bam.
Well, tonight's show is making choices.
Oh.
Often tough choices. You have something you want to say? You got more?
Yeah. Sorry. Before we say the prayer and pass the offering plate and get into the sermon. One more thing, because I think you will find relevance in this where I don't. But for the longest time, and this plays into last week's show about celebrating me and blah 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 blah. There's different things going, but I've been a paramedic for many, many years. I don't actively work in the field anymore, but I still have, actually, I guess as of this month, I no longer have my certification, but I have a few awards and certifications and whatnot, and my wife's always been like, oh, let's display. I'm like, why? It's crap to me. All of it's crap. It's paper. It's brass on wood. I did my job. That's how I see it. I because I'd rather have, it goes into the relationship, I'd rather have somebody truly say thank you than even my peers or some board of voters or whatever go, wow, this is a great thing that you did. Here's a plaque. Like, but it didn't make me feel any better. So that's a little bit of history. So the other night, we redid the family wall in the bedroom of pictures, and we redid everything. And while I was hanging pictures and doing things, because my wife has been bugging me for a while, I went ahead and put up on the wall my 4 awards for saving lives and my business degree, which I think is a crap piece of paper, and my paramedic degree, which is now an invalid piece of paper. But I looked at it like, I don't even want to look at it. I don't care. But I went, Mordant's going to see that, and he's going to be like, this is progress or something. I don't know. But I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. That you've been able to display things. And you think about it, it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily doing it for you, but you're doing it for your wife. You're doing it for the people around you. You're doing it because it means something to them. And they're proud of you, and they want to see, hey, look, wow, that's my guy. Sometimes it's for that, and you got to be okay with that. And if you're not, if you're so not okay with that really you want to shut it down, then there's something to look at. That's kind of a warning signal.
It's not that. It's just like, we will take up a whole nother show if we get into that again.
Yeah, we're going to make the choice not to delve into that again until the next time around. Next time you're in the barrel. All right? But tonight's choice, again, it's choices. Often we have tough choices. The first thing you have to realize in your life, if you're going to ever affect any kind of change, if you're going to ever make any kind of decision, is that you are responsible. You're responsible for your experience, for what happens to you in your life. Now, that can be a very scary thing. It's like, come on, I don't have to worry about that. Everything I do, it means I'm responsible for something. But with this realization comes the understanding that since you are responsible, you can begin to affect a change in your life. If you don't like the way things are going, you can do something about it. And that's not only a good thing, it's a great thing. And that's kind of what we're all about here at The Other Side Alive, affecting a positive change in our life. So realizing that you are responsible, you can make that choice to better your life, to enrich your life, to move down that path towards something that really jazzes you, as opposed to just being. Oh, I'm just gonna have a job so I can get money, so I can have food, so I can have a job, so I can, the vicious cycle.
Yep, what you said.
Yeah, so, realizing that you can affect a positive change in your life, and sometimes it takes a while or some kind of thing to realize you can do that. Oh, no, life is the way it is, and I can't really do anything. Well, when I hit my late 20s, I was always a skinny guy. I was always a scrawny guy, but when I hit my late 20s, I started developing a paunch. So much that weird look of being scrawny and fat at the same time. So I had this belly coming on, and these little witty arms, so that by the time I hit 30, I was like, oh, hell no. I've got to be on stage. I got to be in front of people. And, vanity is the spice of life. So I am a vain person when it comes to certain things. So when I turned 30, I began doing something about it. Yeah, I had a friend of mine, I think was at the Colorado Renaissance Festival, that I went into a gym for the first time. Except for during college, of course, I'd taken a class in weightlifting, whatever. But I didn't really pursue it. I went to a gym for the first time, and I so much didn't know what I was doing that when I got done working on this one machine, my buddies pointed to the towel hanging up in the little spritzer. I'm like, okay, and you're supposed to wipe down the machine and spritz it off and everything. I didn't know. So I picked it up. I spritzed my face, I think, and wiped it off. And he looked at me, and I was like, and he was very patient. He just kind of took it from my hands and he spritzed the machine. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess that makes a lot more sense than what I just did. So I began doing this on a regular basis, and after about a month, immediately, you're like, oh look, I've got muscles, I'm swelling. No, you're just swollen because you've just destroyed yourself. But after about a month, I really started noticing a difference. I really started noticing that I'm losing that. I'm getting back to my original Tortuga weight from before, and it had an effect on me in so much that I realized, I can alter things. I do have control over what happens in my life. I even have control of what happens in my body. And there's a lot of inertia as you're going downhill. Not only you have to start going up the hill, but you have to slow down, stop, and turn around. And that inertia is what you're fighting. And overcoming that inertia taught me that I could affect a change in my body and in my life. And it translated to other things as well. So that began, I think, way before I started thinking about changing my life for the positive. That was one of the first steps for me, that I realized that I had control, I was responsible. So I guess that's a long drawn out prologue for what our show is.
Well, I think
we talked about tonight.
You missed the two little bullet points. The reason we came up with choices was we got a Facebook comment from a listener who I believe is actually in the room tonight with a specific question about a situation going on in her life that we're going to address this evening, tied in with an experience that I had recently with somebody trying to do what could be taken as positive, and a lot of negative reaction and negative attack. And so we kind of put them together with the specific question, what you're talking about with taking responsibility for your life, and the question I came up with, which is, what happens when you're creating something beautiful, positive? What do you do when other people are just negative and try to destroy it? And those are some things we're going to cover this evening.
Right, we're definitely going to do that. And it is actually my very next bullet point. We have a very good friend of ours who is dealing with something right now, and it's an interesting thing that as we continue chasing and catching our dreams, that you're going to become faced with. And I want to read some of what she sent us. What do you do when you have to choose between your dream, which is helping support your family, and your family? My business is doing all right, but my husband's jobs, he has two of them, are not producing reliable income. He's still looking for new, more reliable options, but it's just not happening. Money is so tight right now that we're actually moving my husband and child back in with his mom in another state, and I will stay in Atlanta to continue working. His job is mobile, but my business is the main thing bringing in money, and it's not mobile. I mean, I really don't have much choice in this in order to keep a roof over my child's head, and she is absolutely my priority. Any advice as to how to get through this? I've never even considered being away from my daughter for this long. It may be 6 months before we're living together again, for all I know. So that was the email that sparked this show, and we got into a little bit, and then Charles and I talked about this a little bit. And Charles, if you want to interject, just grab that talking stick and let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
So this brought us back to going back to our Success Freaks episodes and Raymond Aaron's annual love letters to yourself, where you discover what it is you really love, what it is that you really want out of life. You know, regardless of where you're going to pay attention to it or not, you figure out what it is that you love out of life. You have to decide which is most important to you at this time. In other words, dream versus family. Now, cut yourself some slack and be honest with yourself. Even if you have to make the hard choice of denying yourself in order to fulfill your obligation, or even if you have to make the unconscionable choice of choosing your dream over your family, this doesn't mean that you're going to follow this path. Be honest which you love more right now. You know, if the dream is something that's all, and this is all gonna shed a much better light on this later on, but if the dream is something that's really, really important and it goes against what your family is doing, maybe that, and that you have a deep love for that, and you know that everything's going to work out. I mean, we're talking right now as I'm saying this, it's like, well, how can that ever be? Well, there are people who are in the military who do just that thing. There are people whose jobs take them away for months at a time who do just that thing. It may not even be their dream. It just may be their job. So this happens all the time on some level. But you have to decide, okay, what is the point to all this? The point is that I really want to be with my family and I want everything to work well for them, but we're on hard times. Okay, that's a different decision you're looking at. The other point is that this is my dream and it's really becoming successful and it's helping the family out, but we just need to do this for now. You know, there are ways that you can be together. The Skype. I mean, we live in a digital age where you can see each other daily if you wish to. And I think that if you're going to make the choice of chasing your dream and your family's going to another state, that's something that you need to make priority one. Because if your family is going to be one of your dreams as well, then you need to make that a priority as well, setting aside that time. Because if you don't, then you're going to wander into a little dangerous area, I think. That's me personally. Again, military people do it all the time. You know, people with jobs that take them for months at a time out on the oceans or wherever all the time. And they do this successfully. So those are just things that you have to find out within yourself and give yourself the freedom to decide one way or the other. I like this, even knowing I'm not going to choose that, but at least I know. At least I know what's going on there. That's the first step. And remember, there are degrees of everything. Most of what we do, and I believe she does, most of what she does is digital. And I'm not sure what her job is, because I thought it had a lot to do more with online stuff. But if that's the case, she could move with the family, pursue her career from there. But it sounds like she has something that's got her locked into the Atlanta area.
Well, here's my thing about the dream. This is coming from my recent changes and being open and honest about all of this, about my path, is reading what you're saying here. He's got 2 jobs and they're not bringing in enough money, but you're chasing your dream. Honestly, you got to ask yourself, this is what I had to ask myself, if my dream isn't bringing in money and my family has to leave, is it appropriate for me to quote unquote chase my dream? And I'm going to have to say my answer for myself was no, it's not.
Right.
When I was chasing the band dream and I was taking my weekends away from my wife and small child at the time and trying to chase it, I mean, we had 0 income. And I was spending a lot of money chasing that down. And we never got to the point that I had to choose between putting food on the table or chasing that. But when I have hit those moments of, well, what do I cut? It's I can't be spending money making promotional material for my show or going out and going to all these conferences and everything when my wife is having to stay at home all the time because we can't afford her to go out and have fun either. You know, it's real, like you said, it's reality choices. And I've got there's not enough details here, but two things jump out at me is, first question is, if you have a dream and it's not making up money, not bringing you money, how is it not portable? If it's not bringing you money, it's not an anchor. It's not keeping you here. The other thing is, I noticed that, oh, you know what? I don't want to talk about that. I'll leave that one alone. We can talk about, I'll private message her and ask her some stuff on that.
Right. Now, I want to reiterate what she says is my business is the main thing bringing in money. So it sounds like hers is bringing in some money, not enough to keep a roof over their heads in Atlanta.
No, that's not what she says. She says, my business is doing all right. Now, does that mean you're bringing in money?
No, this is an exact...
I'm looking at it on Facebook, dude.
I copied and pasted it, dude.
I'm telling you, third line in. My business is doing all right, but my husband's job, he has two of them, are not producing reliable income, is the exact words.
I keep going down then.
Okay, I'll keep going down. But my business is the main thing bringing in money, and it's not mobile. So, okay, if you're bringing in money, why are you having to leave? I'm not understanding all the choices. But
I'm gonna go ahead and throw out
here's a question. Wait, before you do that, I got one question, then throw out the number. Here's my question, so you can throw out the number and then you can take it. Okay, my question is, is it the main thing bringing in money because his is unreliable? Because obviously you're not bringing in enough money.
Right.
Is it time for you to go get a second job?
All right, that's not the number. 218-632-1724. If you want to weigh in on this conversation, please feel free to give us a call. Again, 218-632-1724. We are actually digging into something a little deep right now. And until we get a call, I'm going to move on to a different thing. Now, I wanted to say, just so that we're clear on certain things, this does not mean you have to endure a hostile family environment. This is not what she is talking about at all. But there are a lot of people out there who are like, my mom wants me to be a doctor, but I really want to be this. You know, my parents want me to do this, and I need to stay, and I need to do this. Something that I read recently in the book Excuses Be Gone by Wayne Dyer. It says, now let me be very clear. I believe in family. However, and this is a crucial point, living a life of your own choosing involves the unquestionable willingness to endure the slings and arrows that come your way when you respond to your inner knowing rather than the opinions of your family. Samuel Butler was probably feeling something similar towards the end of his life in 1902 when he wrote, I believe more unhappiness comes from this source than any other. I mean, the attempt to prolong family connection unduly and to make people hang together artificially who would never naturally do so. Then Dyer goes on to say, you don't belong to your immediate family. You're a member of the human family. You don't own your children, nor are you a possession of your parents. You're not obliged to fulfill the wishes or destiny dictated by kin. It's important to consciously know that you're here to create music and that you don't have to die with your music still inside you.
That's a dangerous quote to me.
It is, and that's why I wanted to say it comes from somebody that I esteem very highly. I will say I don't think he's perfect. I don't think anybody is, and there are some things that I kind of go, okay, Wayne, I see what you're saying. But that is a very interesting point. Go ahead and tell me why you think it's so dangerous.
I get the positive in it is you don't need to die. And that's his ultimate message. You don't need to die with your music inside of your art, your dream inside of you. You know, you don't, okay, this is something that a lot of new moms have, and my wife actually went through it with our first kid, if not both the first children. I don't remember exactly the time frame, but I remember one day, I've told it before, so I'll tell it quickly. One day I called my wife from work. I was working outside the home then, and she was really irritated, almost in tears. I'm like, what's going on? She says, I'm starving and I can't eat. I'm like, why? Because every time I make something, both the kids want to eat it, and they want it. I'm like, I almost laughed. Because I'm like, you're bigger than them. They're at best, 2 and 1. Say no. Eat your damn sandwich. It's your choice. But that's the thing that mothers go through. They define themselves by their family, or define themselves by a controlling husband, or we define ourselves by our parents. So I get that. That's the good part. The bad part is, I'm sorry, you don't throw away your husband and your kid for your dream. I'm not saying you're doing this. The person who wrote this letter, I'm not saying you're doing this, but I'm saying in this quote, I could hear where people say, "Oh, well, it's okay if I ignore my family to go out." No, it's not.
No, and I want to emphasize that this quote right here, I do not relate to the person that we were talking about. I in no way. This is in a hostile family environment when it gets really bad. Let's say you believe a certain way and your family does not. You know, you're racially open and you live in a household where there's white supremacists. You know, I'm talking about extreme stuff. You really have a passion for what you want to do, and your family knows you will know. You will be here. You will stay here, and you will run this business. You know, but my dream is to do this. You know. I want to do ballet. No. No, Stanley, you don't. So that's what I'm talking about when it's a hostile family environment. Or let's say that you're beginning your path for being positive and your family's very, very negative and derogatory to you. We've seen that. We've experienced that. And I'm just saying you're responsible for your experience. It is your choice to allow this. It is your choice. It's a hard choice, and you have to protect it, but it is your choice to go, even when it comes to a family, certainly when it comes to friends.
Tell me if you want to get to this later, because I think this fits in right now. You're talking about choices and hard choices and this and that, the other. So tell me if you're going to get to this later. We'll come back to it. I'm just hearing it now. In her message here, she says, which I wanted to point out because you're saying, you are responsible. You have all the choices. She says, and we all say this, I want to clarify, I don't want you to feel like I'm picking on you. I have felt this way. Morta has felt this way. I've even said it out loud in public before. I really don't have much of a choice. That's not true. Sometimes we don't have great choices, but we always have the choices to make. But so she says, I really don't have much of a choice in order to keep a roof over my child's head. And she is absolutely my priority. And I kind of say hooey on that statement, only to help you be brutally honest.
That's what I was thinking either.
Okay, I'm saying just brutally honest, just trying to be a little brutally honest here with tempering the brutal part. Okay, I'm trying to help you. You came to us, you asked, and you said we could even call you, which I don't want to drag that out of you. I don't want to do that, but this statement is you lying to yourself, because I've said it. This is why I call hooey. I've lied to myself. If your daughter's your absolute priority, it wouldn't even be a question. You'd be leaving to go take care of her. If she's your absolute, and I'm not saying she should be your absolute, but these are choices you made. You made a choice to marry your husband, and right now you're making a choice to stay with him. I don't know your married life. It may be great. It may be on the rocks. The thing is, you're making a choice to be with him. You have to own that. You made a choice to bring this life into the world. You made a choice to love this child. You've got to own that. You do have choices. For me, honestly, if I lost my job today, and in couple of months I could not replace my income. I mean, the first things first is our mortarmon knows this, my team knows this, is you guys have to take all the weight. I might not even come in on Tuesday nights because the bottom line is I have to go do what I have to do to take care of my family. That's my absolute priority. So that means it's not a choice, it's an automatic habit for me. Is if that number one priority gets damaged, everything else is non-existent until I fix that. So you gotta figure out. Just be honest, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with the whole hooey thing. So there's again, like I said, there's degrees of everything. And just as Charles was saying, your priorities are reflected by your actions. You see your true priorities with your actions. If you're being together with your family, can you take a chance? Look, I'm just going to stay away for a couple months and do this, and we're going to make sure that we stick together in this, and we're going to keep in contact. Sure, because again, that happens, and sometimes it has to happen. If this is a really big deal that's going on with you here, but if there's even a possibility that something might go horribly awry, you might want to rethink that, being separated from your family, because being a person who's on the road all the time, that whole absence makes the heart grow fonder crap is just that. It's just, you get distracted, you make new connections, you make new friends, and you make new bonds, and those other ones weaken. Now, do other people have great long-distance relationships and then come together? Yes. Yes, that does happen. But is that the norm, or is that the once in a while thing? I don't know. So I think Charles is right. Your priority is going to be showing up by what you're going to do here. Now, if you are really, really concerned with the family, etc., you might want to go with them and try to set up again. Again, we don't know. We're kind of in the dark here, so we don't know what your passion is, what your dream is that you have here. But again, there's degrees of everything. You can, this is the only thing I can do. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. This is the only thing. My husband has to go back with the mom. Probably, but not necessarily. There are other ways, there are government things that you can do. There are friends who can help out. You can shut everything down here and just start again somewhere else. So there are definitely maybe not the best choices, maybe not even good choices, certainly not the most favorable choices, but there are other choices.
Something else, I want to get a little more to the positive too. And I'm going to speak from a place that our morning mod can't, honestly. I feel like you can't. I think we see your day job as a Tortuga twin, and we see you living your dream to a point. You get to entertain and do what you love to at least an extent for your career for the last over 25 years now, and that's awesome. But I think I'm in the boat with most people. Maybe I'm ahead of the game a little bit, but I've worked that job, that job. I've done all the mistakes. I've jumped from job to job, made sure I worked for the man or somebody else, anybody else for a long time. And I've been working on my dreams for the last 5 years, and that's public speaking, that's the motivational coaching, that's the show hosting that we do here, a lot of other things that go on. And I can tell you positively and without a doubt, just because you stop now to deal with what you have to deal with now doesn't mean you stop working on your dream. And if it's your business, this is a question I don't understand. If it's your business, why is it not mobile? What is so local? What is so locked in here that you can't move it somewhere else and start over or start new? Don't think of it as starting over. Start new. Maybe start beginning. Okay, there's this thing in games. A lot of us play games, and you can get this reference even if you don't. Our morning mod and I play games a lot. Well, not a lot. We work on our stuff a lot. But we play games a little. We love games a lot. And we'll play a game. We'll start with a character, and we realize some point into the game that we've missed a lot. We've learned so much stuff playing into this game that we realized we could start over and have a better experience. So yes, we're starting a new character, starting at 0 for us on the game, but really we're not. We're taking that experience that we learned, the tricks that we knew, and now we're doing a much better, much more powerful game. And even if you don't start over, just stopping now. I stopped for an entire year. I didn't podcast. I didn't social media anything. I didn't do anything. It was on pause for an entire year. But when I came back to it with a vengeance and a passion, and knew that I would never have to leave it again. And one more thing, and you get the talking stick, because I know I'm hitting points that you're going to want to hit on. The last thing I'm going to toss to you, sir, is that just because you're not actively working on your dream, like in the business, doing whatever it is that you do, doesn't mean you're not working on it mentally. Doesn't mean you're not reading books to get better at what you do. It doesn't mean that you're not out there at a local conference or on the Facebook pages learning from people who do what you want to do. Just because you're not actively making money on it doesn't mean you're not working on it. Go.
Yes, but no. No, I like the analogy that you had earlier. And when it comes to this, something that I keep seeing all the time, and I chide myself about it, is that if you have a dream that you're working towards, or that you claim you're working towards, do something for it every day. And I agree with that. Now, that may be, as Charles said, using your mental faculties, but just leaving it on the back burner, just like possibly that family too. If they're left on the back burner as well as they move away, that's going to fade. Work on it every day. Remember, we had a conversation where we talked with Charles a while ago about I think it was the episode where you were telling us you were quitting bear crawling podcast. And when we come to the realization that your family is part of your dream. And so you have to work on that too. So if you have a family out there and you're chasing and catching your dreams, you have chosen somebody. You've chosen, and if you've chosen to create a family with children, those are part of your dreams. It may be a difficult part, it may be a hard part, but you better find some way to make it a joyful part for you and for them. And if you are separated, you better find some way that just as you're working on your dream to whatever it is you want to do every day, you need to do the same thing for your family. You need to do the same thing for yourself with your family. Because there is a saying that I heard, and I can't remember who told me this. I think it was yesterday even. Happy wife, happy life. As long as I remember it was my buddy Dennis Young, and he was working backstage with Johnny Phoenix at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. Thank you, Dennis. Very, very true. He's like, he had gotten a brand new computer, and he's like, I didn't even get to play with it. My wife has it. She's working on different stuff, and she's networking, but that's okay. She's happy. Happy wife, happy life. And I was like, thank you. I will take that.
Yeah, because I've learned, because I used to fight that a little bit, because that's the TV thing, isn't it? The TV comedy stereotype is the man has to be miserable, but because if the wife's not happy, nobody's happy. And I was like, that's BS, blah, blah, blah. But what I've realized is there's a balance. I chose to enter a partnership with my wife. I chose to live with her, to make a home with her, to build a family with her. So if I'm choosing this partnership, I have to choose that balance. If I'm unhappy, she's unhappy. That is the truth. If I'm unhappy, she's unhappy. The vice versa is true, is if she's unhappy, I'm unhappy. And I think that's true with any partnership. In our partnership, Mr. Mon, is if one of us is upset, the other one's trying to figure out why, because it affects both of us.
Right, and that's something that one of the reasons that both Charles and I are finding that we work so well together is that when one of us is upset, we'll either bring it to the table or the other person will be going, what's going on? Let's talk about this. And we will talk things out, making sure that each of us is happy. And it's just like, okay, what's more important here? That I get my way with this certain thing or that there's a give and take. And the other person is happy as we're working together in this endeavor and growing this thing that we call Success Freaks together. You know, I've given up a little bit, Charles has given up a little bit, and we've brought pieces of ourselves together, and we're mashing it all together. You know, and I don't want to say happy wife, happy life, but I'll tell you, after a couple of the conversations that we've had, I'm very, very excited about what we're doing. I'm very excited about all that. Go ahead, Charles.
There's something else I want to get into with the question. So I want to ask this question specifically to the live audience here tonight. And for the new people in, Van Sky, I know is new. And here, Android Bruce, I saw somebody else earlier as a new name I hadn't seen. I want you to know this is a live show. That's why I'm saying your name here now. I see you in the chat room. This is live. So call it in. Here's my question. How would you deal with this situation if you could stay here and work on your dream and your family could leave? And she says it could be, as far as she knows, it's 6 months before she sees him, lives with him again. She doesn't even know. I mean, and that bothers me. If you don't have a time frame, you need to have more control in that. But how would you deal with it? We want to hear from you. 218-632-1724. Call it in. Let us know. But my other question to you, Mr. Mon, is what happens when you come up with a great idea? And it could be family. It plays into this. It plays into your dream, too. You're chasing your dream, and then people just out of nowhere, strangers, whoever, are just trashing it, and trashing it in public, and maybe giving you bad reviews as a Tortuga twin, or bad reviews as us as speakers, or, you know. How do you deal with, when you're really trying to create this positive thing that will help people, how do you deal with that negative feedback?
Well, just as we were talking before, the same thing can be said about negative people. It is up to you what you allow in your life. That includes negativity from others and from yourself as well. I had a buddy of mine who was a good friend that I worked with and hung out with, and he was a great guy until he started drinking. He was an alcoholic, and then he would get really, really mean. And there were times where we just would go head to head, and eventually at one point he said something about my mama. And to me, that was the final straw. I was just getting ready to go on the road. I think it was one of the first, you know, I was early on when I just started going on the road. And I wrote him a letter and basically said, we are no longer friends. This is your official notice. We're done. It's because of this, this, and this, and this. And I didn't mail it to him. And I didn't email it. I drove it to his house or with the apartment he was staying and said, here you go. I'll see you later. And then I went on the road. And
you didn't take a thumbtack to his forehead with it?
No, I wasn't like that. But I thought about this, and I'd been thinking about it for a while. And I'm like, you know what? I don't have to have this experience in my life, and I refuse to have this experience in my life. If you're going to treat me like that, we're done. And I drove it. Now, eventually, he mellowed out, and we have an amicable relationship, although I don't see him as much anymore. And when I see him, I'm very happy to see him, although I still think he is still an alcoholic. I have been in a relationship before where the person I was being intimate with started becoming somewhat emotionally and mentally abusive. And I felt like I was walking on eggshells around her, and that I couldn't do anything right, and I was actually being chided or talked down to or yelled at, until one point I finally turned and did the very same thing. Okay, we're done, because of this, and this. And later on the tears came and everything like that. I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is not a ploy. I'm not trying to drive a point home. We are done, because you have done this, and I have tried to talk with you about this, and yet you continue to treat me this way. I will not accept this in my life. Again, later on, the relationship healed. We are now friends, and everything's fine. And she'll once in a while will bring up, well, yeah, you dumped me back then, and I'll just turn to her and I'll say, and do you know why? And she gets real quiet. So it is up to you the kind of experience you allow in your life. You don't have to get attacked. You don't have to put up with abuse, physical, emotional, mental, sexual abuse, anything like that. You do, however, have to do something about it. You can either remove yourself from the situation. You have to stand up to your bullies, and sometimes it's a constant battle with people. If you need to see a therapist or coach so you can get through that, that's fine. If you can only take baby steps, read books, listen to helpful audios, do whatever it takes to take these baby steps on your way into a healthy, happy, positive outlook on life. It is up to you. I remember it, and I've used this story before. I was hanging out with another friend of mine, and we were playing a game together, and she started trash talking me, and it was really, really mean. And I turned to her and I was like, no. I have been nothing but sweet to you. You will not talk to me that way. And she mellowed out after that. And I think she was just kind of testing her boundaries on what she could do and how she could talk to me. It's like, no, I won't be talked to that way. It's not okay. I'm not all right with it. It's abuse. Now, there's the difference between friends razzing on each other. Come on, don't be that guy where you're just like, oh, stop picking on me, because I've been that guy, and that guy's not cool. You want to be able to go, no, friends pick on each other. We have fun together. It's all good. But if somebody's being abusive to you, somebody's being negative to you, if somebody's trash talking your dream, and I am seriously talking about you as well, if somebody's doing that, then you need to stand up for yourself, whether it's to them, to yourself, to whatever. It's up to you, and it is a battle sometimes. That's what your responsibility comes. You do have to do something about it. You don't have to put up with it, but you've got to stand up to it.
Ruby Claw here in the chat room says, negativity is one of the biggest walls that keeps me from doing something artistic. Has anyone here dealt with this? And people are responding. But I hear that in you, and I hear that, yeah, there are places where I don't talk about what I do. Now, if I'm in the midst of strangers, if I'm asked, what do? I'm a show host. That's what I do. I'm a speaker. That's what I do. Oh, wow, how do you do that? Well, I work a job to pay my bills. This is how I do that. Yeah, I do this for free, but that's not always going to be the case. But there's people, including my wife for a little while, who kind of fell in with her family and was mocking, and so I quit talking about it, but I didn't quit doing it. I find that I only talk to people who were getting it. And then, as I can show a real step, at one point early on in my career, as it were, I was able to obtain a sponsor. And for some reason, that changed things for everybody. I mean, I was only getting $5 a month, nothing. But because I was making money on my pocket, now it was different. I'm like, but it's not. But then, my wife started pulling away from the people who were influencing her badly. But yeah, okay, the first network I tried to build, I tried to reach out and help people, helping others be awesome is our mantra here. And I was living that even before I met Armand at Mon. I just didn't know the words. And I went to try to make a group of people who would help each other out, who are doing good shows, who are doing great content, who are just growing and want to do it for real, but we can't catch a break. We can't get that next handhold up. I thought if we work together, we can climb higher. And immediately, one of the people I reached out to, trashed it. I mean, not it in particular, but one was like, well, I need to know if you're going to do this. Oh, we don't need that. We don't do all that. I mean, just pissed all over it. And another guy said, well, I need to make sure it's worth my time. I get this high and mighty attitude. And it killed it. It literally went nowhere because I had such a negative reaction. But see, I came back later. Later, I moved on and said, okay, forget it. Forget the world. Forget you guys. It's not the words I use, but the words I use here. And actually, I don't talk to either one of them anymore because they continue to be negative and they continue to and so I just quit talking to them. I pulled away, and both of them have failed in the world that we run in, and I have it not because I'm better and spiking the ball in their face. It's not that. It's I succeeded where they failed because I kept moving towards what was better, that positive. It came back, and I did build a network for a while of people who helped each other out. It got us here to the No Agenda stream with Adam Curry and Jack Blood and all the other awesome names that are here and the big audiences, and it moved us forward. It got us places. It let me meet Armand Mon, who in his day job is a semi-celebrity as a comedian. He wouldn't call himself that. That's the only reason I say semi. But the people who watch him as fans call him a celebrity. I watched him as a celebrity, but I got to meet him as a person because of what I was doing, helping others be awesome. I was there to help him, and now we're building a company together. You find that thing, because another thing that Ruby Claw asked is, I lost it here. Basically, it was, do you just push through it, or is there a mantra that keeps it back? I don't believe in keeping things back. I believe in leaving them behind. I think actually it's what Armand Mon is speaking on here. And I posed it this way. I went back to a swimming pool analogy we had a long time ago about you're holding on to the side of the swimming pool. And your phrase, Mordant, was you push back from the negative. I think you got that from somebody else too. You push back. So you push back from the side. I'm like, that's not good enough. You push back from the side, you're still just treading water, and you're still really, really close to that negative. And what my thought was, no, I turn away from that side and sink or swim. I'm going to the other side because no matter what happens, I'm going to be better for it. And I am better for it, and that's why I feel like I'm still doing what I love, whereas these other guys aren't. And I believe they loved what they did. I believe they're really, really good at it, but I believe they lost the plot because they were too busy putting other people down, pushing them down to feel better. And you can't be around people who are going to push you down. You can't. And that's emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, whatever. You can't.
That quote that you're looking for, the person who said that was Anthony Robbins, and it's talking about instead of pushing away from the negative, pull yourself towards the positive, and that keeps you going. Now, what I'm going to say to Ruby Claw, it's none of your business what other people think of you. That's one of the things you can use to when people say things to you or try to bring you down. It's none of your business what other people think of you. So there is that. As far as all that goes.
And that's one of the things. That is one we are not ready now, but that is one of the things we are moving towards. Armand and myself with the Success Freaks company is to help people like you, Ruby. Is to say, hey, you like what we do on the show? We will help you figure out what your dream is. We'll help you get past the. I think she's saying she might be shy. I mean, everybody has excuses, and that's what they are. I have excuses. Believe it or not, I'm not a big talker in public. I'm a great public speaker. I can get up there and I can teach all day long. But like last night, in a room full of geeks who are there for the same game that I'm there for, we have a huge thing in common. We all left our houses at almost midnight to go wait in line for this game. I'm not talking to people very much until they got into a topic that I really knew something about. I'm like, I'm just going to jump in because why not? It's just an opinion. It doesn't matter. But I go into silent running. I don't talk a lot in big groups that are just random. I'm not that outgoing guy. And I don't know if you're this way naturally, Mordant, but I notice that you are. He and I will go out together, right, into public. And he'll be talking to people and, hey, ha, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yep, I'll be over here. And it's not because I'm outshone. It's because I don't go around just naturally making conversations. Sometimes if I'm in the right mood, I do. But you see, we have come from the same backgrounds you come from, and we're here to help.
Right. And I've had a similar experience. I remember being early in the morning in a meeting with all these social media people, and I'm like shucking and jiving and moving and shaking and shaking babies and kissing hands and all that kind of stuff. And then I went to a Renaissance function where it was a Rennie rescue rally, and it was for a good cause and all that kind of stuff. But I found I'm like, wow, I'm just quiet. I'm walking around. For some reason, I wasn't engaged. I don't know if I'd spent my energy early in the day, but I think it was just a different vibe, and I think that's what you were probably experiencing at that time. You know, when somebody else is doing all the, hey, how you doing? Hey, you know, but
no, I like that you do it.
We all vacillate back and forth.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm like, no. I'm not natural unless there's a void left. I'm not that natural guy who goes in as everybody's friend. Now, I can help you if you talk about something. If I'm on an airplane, I am watching my laptop the entire time. I am playing on my phone, doing something. I'm not that guy who talks to my neighbor. I bet you are.
So it depends. I have, but honestly, I'm in my book or listening to my iPod or whatever. I'm just there. So now, what was it that Ruby? Because I'm trying. There was something that I wanted to say, but I can't think
about
it right
the
now.
mantra to push things back.
Oh, maybe that was it. Maybe it. You know, if you're looking for different people to hang out with, one of my affirmations is I am so happy and grateful that I am attracting ideal people and divine relationships into my life. And I'm not sure I got that from. It might have been from Jack Canfield or Wayne Dyer. I am so happy and grateful that I'm attracting ideal people and divine relationships into my life. And you really got to feel it too. And whenever I do that, I start either noticing people who are already there or somebody new comes in. And if I'm having a hard time with somebody, I'll repeat that affirmation to myself because that's what I'm attracting. That's my reality. And it doesn't mean that you have to put up the crap. If the people around you are being mean or whatever, you don't need that. Absolutely. Just like Charles said, push away from that negative and pull yourself towards the positive. Find those positive people. If you're surrounded by negative people, change your scenery. It is up to you. You are responsible. Go ahead.
No, I was just going. I'm backing you up there, and I got to tell you, swimming in the deep end is way better because there's not as many people.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can do cooler strokes.
And I'm sorry, people are like, I don't want to swim in the deep end. I might. This is just a metaphor. I'm arguing with myself, but I don't want to swim in the deep end. I might drown. No, you won't. Because where in life are you? Truly, where in life are you? If you're actually trying to swim, that there's not a lifeguard. I swam in the deep end. I went live on my 4th podcast of starting over. Live. Nobody was doing live. And I did it, and it was scary. But immediately, within like 2 shows, I had people reaching out. Because I was floundering, but they were there to help. If you are truly reaching out to try to get somewhere positive, there will be people there that you'll never see coming that will help you.
And don't worry about making the bad choice or the wrong choice. Or what if I do the wrong thing? What if I offend the wrong person? You know, don't worry about making that bad choice. You can always ready, fire, aim as you go. It's not usually those bad choices that ruin lives or really mess things up. It's continuing to make bad choices that will do you in. So if you make 1 or 2 mistakes, no biggie. That's all part of failing forward. And sometimes failures and bad choices will lead you to something better or something you're supposed to be doing all along. So sometimes, that failed job opens up the space for you to try to do your own business and suddenly it becomes something huge. Or that failed relationship because you weren't ready yet or you had something you had to learn or maybe your picker was off so that the next time that you're going to look for somebody, screw the really pretty guy. I'm going to go for somebody who's real, who's going to treat me right. I'm done with that. I had that in my 20s. All my life. I'm speaking, the woman's going to say this.
So you're lucky that you found not only somebody real, but really pretty in me?
Yeah, baby. That's right. He's got that long flowing hair. And we watch Glee together.
Before Jabba comes in and interrupts us rudely, I want to say, coming off your thing there, don't worry about the bad choices or whatever you said. My point is, I'm not dissing you. I'm just saying my point is, there are no bad choices. There are choices. Make them and own them. This is how you make the best choices in your life because you don't go, oh, what if, or you don't overthink it. You go, this is what I'm teaching my kid to teach him new habits. Ask a specific question and get a specific answer. Every time I've come to a crossroad, I've picked a choice and I've owned it. And I don't go, well, what if I pick this other one? Or no. So you own your choice and then you don't write it for 10 years. You write it for 6 months and you reevaluate to see if you can change. Because you know what? The one thing I've learned in life is you can change everything until you can't change it at all.
Right. Now, there's something I want to call back to. There was somebody had talked about people stomping on your dreams and everything like that. There is a musical, and I think the name of the musical is Title of Show. And I have the CD. If I can find a way to be able to put the CD, this song, somewhere where you can hear it, I will. I'm going to warn you, there's a lot of cursing on it, but it's... but that's okay. Jabba likes that, so we can talk about it. I think that the song is entitled Vampires or whatever, and it talks about the different type of vampires who try to suck your joy down or stomp on your dream. And it's a really very clever song. At the very end, it talks about the worst one, that is yourself, because all the stuff that you're saying in your head. And if I'll talk to Charles about being able to put it up so that you can either hear it via our Facebook page or whatnot. So I think I think we're here at the end of this show.
And we've come to the end of the show.
So remember, you are responsible for your life and the experiences you have, and you're responsible for being able to shut Charles up when he's singing or enjoying it. That could be your choice as well. So you have choices, and there are degrees of everything. There is no hard and fast rule here. The only failure you're going to have is not to do anything. If you're so worried about screwing things up that you don't do anything, realize that you're already failing by not acting. If you're worried about screwing up your life or making things worse by telling people who are negative not to be like that with you, whether they're friends or family, realize you're already failing because you're allowing the abuse to happen to you. It is up to you to stand up for yourself, and that is part of what we're here to learn to do. I believe that we're here to learn how to create, to be creators, and the thing that we get to create is a life. Please, please choose to have a fabulous life. Choose to have a fantastic one and stand up for that. You're going to have to fight for that. That's the way it works, boys and girls. I have to do it daily. I know Charles has to do it every time he talks to me. So there you go. There you go.
Be shuffling.
Amanda, I believe the name of that was Title of Show. I may be wrong. Again, I'll try to put it in there, and I think it's song number 10.
So, okay, all right. So we're out of here. I want you to know that the newsletter has gone out on Monday. If you miss that, please hit it up on Facebook. You can subscribe to the newsletter there, facebook.com/BCN Tosol. You can also go to houseofthebear.com and click on newsletter and get the last 2 newsletters. It's myself, it's our Morning Mon, and the entire team behind Success Freaks, talking about where we live and how we do it. And I'm telling you, is going to touch you in inappropriate ways, but it'll change your life.
That's awesome. If you are listening to the podcast, we are live every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can find us right now at mordantworld.com/NAS. And, of course, the NAS stands for No Agenda Stream. If you are listening to us live and you want to check out older shows, go to theothersideoflive.com. And you have everything from number 62, which is going to be this one, to all the way back to number 1. So you can hear them all.
That's right. And you keep up with us there on Facebook. BCN Tosol is where you get everything that's out live. House of the Bear is more or less behind the scenes somewhat, and then Mordant World is your affirmations. Tell us a little bit about Mordant World on Facebook before we get out of here, please.
Mordant World just hits everything. A lot of it, you know, we're so deep in the other side of live and Success Freaks and everything, but anything that I am doing, and most of it is this show, will be on Mordant World on Facebook. You can facebook.com/Mordant World or mordantworld.com. If I'm writing any blog for you, or if I come out with a new video via Mordant World TV, mordantworld.tv, everything crosses through Mordant World on Facebook.
Of course, you can message us, email us. Hey, you guys at theothersideoflive.com. Actually, you can just make it up. Make up any phrase and add at theothersideoflive.com, and we'll get it when we read it on the air. You can message us on our Facebook page, like we said. And, of course, there is SpeakPipe if you'd like to hear your voice without actually calling in live. And we would love to hear your voice.
Yes, man, I would love that link. If you could get that to me, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. She found the link for the song.
Oh, very cool.
On YouTube. I hope it's just, I don't know if it's a video. I have not seen the video. I don't know what it's like. So... there you go. Well, I think that's it. You have anything else, Charles?
I am good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this has been our Morning Mon.
And I'm the Boys to Men Bear. Thank you, Mari.
Ciao, dream catchers.
So raise your glass if you are wrong.
Boom, baby.
Right ways all night.